Hello everybody, my name is Farmer Phil, and in today's video we are going to be letting out the first of the cattle out of the shed. So we have to tip off, and before we can let out any cattle I have to go sort the fences. But before I get on the tractor and bay off out the fields, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you get notified of my videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday, and don't forget to leave a comment and hit that like button. All pushes the channel along, beats the YouTube algorithm. Anyways, we get on our regulator, and we need a transport box full of fencing stuff, and we tip out the fields and we go get some fencing done and get ready to let the first calves out of the shed for the year. Even though we do have calves that have been out all winter, but aside from that, get the ones that's in out. Anyways, we'll be on. So, this is where we're going to be letting out the first load onto a cover crop of oats and beans and whatnot. So I have to check my fencing all around, make sure it's all intact and good, and then put power in it and make sure there's power in it. So that's what I'm going to be at now, and I have all I need behind me. We'll have to check the rest of the fencing out there to make sure there's none of it down, just to make sure that I'm not going to be losing power anywhere. So we'll drive along this boundary and make sure it's all good, and we can let them out here and get this tramped down, and then they'll start going out that way for grazing the fields and the paddocks. But that's to start off what we have to do. So that's that field check. Just had to stand up the gate. Boundary seems okay. So now we just drive around the rest of the farm, make sure all the wires are up so that the power doesn't get drained by a bit of wire down. So we will be on around the rest of the farm. So that's the fencing done. Everything seems okay now, so just check the power when I come back in. So I forgot the bloody fence tester. It's very windy out, so I hope you can hear me. Anyways, that's this farm done, so we bay on to the next one and we get here ready for our cattle coming out. So we'll mosey on. So here we are in our next field, the big field, a silage field, and there is a lot of grass out here, a wonderful pile of grass. So I want to just check the burn on this, make sure it's okay and the wire's up, and we get cattle out here, we get eaten off and slurried, and then it goes up for silage again. But there is heaps of grass out here. Much more than on the other farm, much more. So that's the field all fenced up. Not too much in it, just bits of wires down and 4 posts lifted up, strangely, but not too bad now. So now we bay on back to the yard and we go down the bottoms and we get one side of the bottoms ready for cow. And then that will be all the fencing I'll be doing today. So we're making good progress now, we're making great progress. Geez, there is some pile of grass out here. Super amount of grass. So here we are in the bottoms, the other side of the river, beside the canal. So we'll go check this fence. Seems to be a nice bit of grass here, but she is a bit soft underfoot there now. But we did have a lot of issues on this block. Actually, all the bottoms, calves could not keep them bloody anywhere, walking under fences. So we have to figure out what the issue is and see can I get it all sorted. But it is the last bit of fencing to do today now. So we'll check the river first, and we'll check it block by block, and there's 4 blocks in a row to check, so, or fields. So, and then there's the calves that have been outside all winter. A lot of the lesser lads and that, they're all out there. I want to get them moved off that field and shut off that field because they've been on it all winter. But they're happy as Larry for that. Absolutely. Happy as Larry. That is all stacked there, so see what's wrong there now. So, these cattle had a woeful job done on the fence, but it's about to get really wet. So I'll stick it for as long as I can, but I think I'll go home then. It's actually starting to hail. maybe, I don't know, might be the best weather to let cattle out in. But we'll finish this fencing anyways and we can let them out another day. But yeah, I have this river fencing shite, and that's probably why they were breaking out, it was down. But anyways, I got to cover this camera up somewhere so it doesn't get wet. So yeah, enjoy. So now everyone, it may look like we just went from fencing to cattle going out of the shed, but over 2 weeks has passed. Yeah, when I went fencing, weather was good, everything was going fine, and then the weather broke. We didn't let out any cattle. You probably noticed my hair's that much longer, and yes, it will get cut at some stage, but I like my hair like this. I like to be able to do this with it. But anyways, so what we're doing now is for the calves that's going out to out there, we're going to be tribal vaccinating them, which is a vaccine for black leg. You don't know what black leg is. It is I'm pretty sure it's a bacterial infection that they get, and it goes under the skin, and there's no saving an animal when he gets it. They quite literally just swell up and die. It's an infection between the layer, I think the layer of fat and muscle, or skin and muscle. It's nasty. It is very nasty. We always lose a few every year to it, but you go with the tribal vaccine, it's a vaccine to try and prevent it. So every time calves going out, every time they leave the shed, we go with it. So anyways, what we have now is we have 28 bulls we let out of that shed, bull weanlings. We're going to weigh them now, we're going to tribal vax them, and we're going to take the Angus out of it, because the Angus are bullocks, and we're only letting out the Friesians and JX and all the others. So that's what we have to do. Is there anything else I need in here? And yeah, so we're going to weigh them, tribal vax them, and check to see if anyone lost the tags for the winter and going out to grass. This batch wasn't weighed going in. These are the biggest calves, and they were last to go in, and we didn't get time to weigh them, just so I won't know how they done for the winter, but I'll have a record of them going out so I know when they come back in how they done. So anyways, it's very windy outside, so I'm just going to set up the camera on time lapse, so there's no point talking about it outside when you can't hear me. But anyways, that's it. I have this markers out there. So we get stuck into it. We get cattle out of sheds onto grass. Oh, that time of the year, 28th of February now, so it's the very last days of February. Normally we'd have cattle out the beginning of February or before, but anyways, it's the year that's in it. So that's the first load of cattle loaded, and it has turned into an absolutely lovely evening. It's actually got quite warm, and nearly take off the jumper warm. So that's the first of them to head out. Now we have had cattle out all winter, and we did do some sorting on them, and they're down the bottoms grazing, and they're doing all right. It was a bit miserable there during that rough weather, but it's a lot better than what it was now, and they didn't do too much damage, so we should be okay down there. But there'll be no cattle going to them. But these are going out to the out farm where we fenced out, the first out farm we fenced. And so yeah, we'll put these out, and then we'll let out another 40-ish, and we'll sort them into large and small. Put the large with these, and put the small lads to the big field, to the big silage field, and get them to start grazing off that. And we'll keep going till it gets dark, and then we'll be going back to feeding the calves, the baby calves, the sub calves. So anyways, we'll go get these lads out to grass. Tell you, we'll be glad to see you at some point.
They've seen it, look how happy they are.
Sorry. Off you go. Hightail it out there. And now, that is the first of the boys out to grass. A little bit mucky themselves, but they won't be long cleaning up now they're out. So what they're on now is our cover crop, our gloss cover crop. So they have 10 acres under them there now. So yeah, they're gonna have some fun. So it's great to get them out now. Great to get them out. So anyways, we'll tip on back and we'll get the next load of bulls or bull yearlings out of the shed. It's about 40 of them in the next pen, and get them split between heavies and lights. Heavies come here, lights go to the big field. And now we're back in the yard. The 6290 we done up. You can't, the sun is shining the wrong way. It's on the agitator now, so it's going to be doing its first bit of work in 6 years. I know we've done nothing with it since we got it done. We just, don't ask me why, I suppose we didn't want to dirty it, but now it is. The agitator's on it, it's going agitating tomorrow. But what we're going to do now is this pen of yearlings, calves, bulls, whatever you want to call them, from kind of now on we'll call them the bulls, even though we'll still have bulls in the shed. But we're going to let this pen out because there's a nice 40-ish number there. We can let them out, sort them and put them out, whereas if we try to let cattle out at the other end, there's way more and we wouldn't get the right kind of mix. There's a nice mix of bigger and smaller lads in there, so we get them done hopefully nice and handy, hopefully. But I suppose one of the other things we will be mixing, so we'll be mixing bulls, you could say, and it's the last time we can get away with doing this, putting bull yearlings together. They won't fight too much, but once they get past this stage, that's when, if you mix them, they'll tend to do a lot of messing and pucking and mucking. But saying that, this is just a little thing I found on Facebook, watching some Facebook video of there was a farmer in Canada with 5 stock bulls, put them together, bet the hell out of other, brought them back in, and he put cider vinegar on their back and put them out, and they didn't fight. I seen that and I thought to myself, geez, I may try that the next time. And we're down to, with 2 pens of bulls, one had 5, one had 6, and we want to put them together, just saves having to go to one shed with a diet feeder. It emptied one shed out. So I said I'd give it a go, and we put 1.5 litres of cider vinegar on 11 bulls' backs, and apart from 2, there was 2 lads a little bit narky, but apart from that, the rest of them were perfectly fine. Never seen the like of it before. Bulls, like, whatever it is, the cider vinegar just blocks the sense. They can't smell each other. There's basically no fighting. Handy tip for anyone who wants to mix. Now, I don't know what I mixed 2 big pens of bulls, but small numbers like that, the cider vinegar seemed to work an absolute treat. 1.5 litres of it. Happy days, just poured on their back. Anyways, we'll get ready. I'll put a few expensive gates together and we'll get them lads out, and after clean the gap there, let them out. But we'll get them lads out next. We'll sort them, same again. Weigh, check tags, do we need any replacements, blackleg them, and I suppose I keep forgetting to say it, but Herdwatch sponsored today's video, as they do most of our cattle videos, and Herdwatch is an integral part of our cattle farming, you could say. We use it for recording everything. It's a one-stop shop for everything you need. Gets rid of the paperwork, and especially when with the numbers that we have, it just makes it so much easier looking and sorting. And when I put out these cattle, I'll have them in their batches, and then I'll know if I have to find 2560 a number, I can look at it and I can see which batch is in, and I know where the batches are. It just makes my life so much easier. So anyways, I get a few tractors and gates and stuff, and we'll try and get these lads ready for out and across the yard without going everywhere. Now that's the boys all moved down, so there's a big mix here between big and small, so we're going to weigh them and blackleg them, do all we need to do, but we'll divide them into over 200 kilos will go to where we let the last lads out, under 200 kilos will go to the big fields, we call it, just to divide them up into weights. And we also have to take out any Herefords and Angus. So anyways, I better put down the camera before it gets shoved somewhere it doesn't want to be. So anyways, we get these lads sorted and we rinse and repeat. Now, one of the Jersey boys, what a few that remain, about to head out to grass. How has he done for the winter? Hey, go back, you! Go back! Was he 5'7"? 170. So, what did he do for the winter?
40 kilos for the winter.
So what's that?
0.3 a day.
0.3. Not great, but he's alive. So, we'll give him that. So as well as doing what we're doing, we're also, what's he? He's more than 170. 235. So he's going to go to this cover crop, mark him. And also you may see some new ear tags. Liv is also going through with what tags we have to make sure that everyone has 2 tags going out, or if we don't have a second tag, then we have a replacement. So 792. Dan Angus 190. So now that is everybody weighed and done. So we have to take 2 blue marks are going in with the Anguses and Herefords. The orange marks are going to the cover crop, and the other guys are going to the big field. So we gotta get them sorted out next. So we get to it because daylight is starting to fade on us now. So we get stuck into it. No. 2, 4, 12. So that's 38. It was 26 here, so that's 38 now out there. So we'll get home quickly and get the next load out because daylight is fading very quick. This is what you call pushing your luck now. It is getting very, we're definitely in the dusk of the evening, isn't that it?
Yes.
You get off?
Yep.
It's been a long old winter, lads. It's time to get out to a bit of nice tasty grass. This is the second place I fenced earlier in the video, and there is mountains, piles of grass out here. So what do we say, 22 going out here now. So we'll catch up with them in a few days time. We'll come out, fly the drone, and we'll see how everyone's getting on, and we'll finish up the video because there's not much point doing it now in the dark. You can't even see them going off across the field there. Anyways, so now everyone, it has been a week. Yeah, it's been more than a week, just over a week since we let out the cattle. And not only have we let out the cattle that you've seen us letting out, we have let out all the bull weanlands. So that's all the cattle that were in that shed, because we need the shed to get the next calf shed ready. So we're just here with the first batch. We're going to have a look at them all now. They're outside for the week. Some of them aren't outside for the week, but most of them are out. So these lads are finished here. So these are the batch that we let out on the cover crop, but we couldn't keep them on the cover crop. They actually ended up taking down the fence behind the trailer there and getting in here, so we just shut them in here. So these are finished here now. Where we let them out onto back square, or onto, yeah, we let them onto the back square, and we can let them open the gates and let them onto the cover crop after then.
Nice and dry.
It is. Ground is actually fierce dry. This could actually be rolled now and get a bit of slurry, so it could. But they're looking rightly starting to tidy up. Anyways, we get these lads moved. Oh, lads, don't pull the back wire down. So that is the lads, or this batch out here. These are the ones you've seen, most of them going out, and these are some of our heaviest calves. When we get to the next batch, I'll go through some of our weights and some of the statistics on these lads. But anyways, this is them happy out. So we'll keep these, will start rotationally grazing. They're starting off on our silage ground, so that we get hit tillering and get hit coming on, and then they're going to the grazing blocks at the farm. So anyways, that's them, happy out. So now we're out in what we call the big field. It's our 38 acre silage field. So we have the biggest batches here. What's here? 63 cattle here, and you can see there was a meadow of grass on this. We couldn't nearly call it a woeful pile of grass on it. So these cattle will be here for quite some time eating it off, but they have done an awful lot of walking. They haven't just been that over happy to be out. Don't really know why. It's been great weather since they've went out. Lovely and dry, maybe a bit cold, but we'll count them and see that they're all here. But there's a woeful pile of grass here. So again, the cattle are here to get this eaten off, so that it's basically bare enough and we can close it up for silage then, because eating it before, after the winter, gets the grass to tiller, gets fresh grass coming up, makes for better silage. That's the theory anyways. So we'll eventually get to them. Could do with a gear, couldn't we, Liv?
Yes.
Make this job a little bit easier. Can't exactly bring the polo out the field, so we can't. But this batch here, so the last batch we looked at is some of our heaviest bulls, and the reason we put our heaviest bull yearlings together was we're hoping to finish them guys around the 20 months. We're hoping to kill them earlier, before Christmas, just to help with the cash flow of the farm and to make space in the sheds, because everything has been fine. Last year, or the cattle we killed this year, has been the cattle that were reared during the beam reduction. So we had to make 5% reduction, so we only reared 200 and something calves, so we only had 200 and something cattle in the shed, whereas next year we'll be back up to 274-ish, I think, or 280, whatever it is. So we'll have them extra cattle, so we're hoping to get that extra batch of cattle killed before we get the main go of cattle in. That's our goal. That's why we put our heaviest ones together. So these guys are mostly the middle calves. All the things that you've seen when we in the start of the video, we let out one shed, which is the last batch of cattle to go in, first to go out. They hadn't done very well. Daily weigh-ins were poor, weights, everything was kind of poor with them. The next batch we showed you were the lightest calves in that big shed. We had some good lads on it, but we had a lot of small lads on it. Ducks! And again, the weights weren't over hectic. But the other cattle, when we let them out, we didn't film it because it was a lot of work when we let them all out to get them done. But they were different altogether, were much better. The heaviest bull weaning we let out was 305 kilos, back down to, I think the lightest was 150, but the majority of them came in at over 200 kilos. I'd say, I haven't all my stats done yet, but I think we'll be around 240, 250 kilos. Definitely 240. I'd say I'd be very comfortable saying 235 to 240 is what the average weight of our bull weanlings going out this year is. Last year I was looking, I hadn't put together, but just on a quick scroll, I'd say we were around the 200 kilos going out, I think, by looking at it. So that means the cattle are definitely heavier on average this year. Could be up 30 kilos, which I seen the calves went in heavier, they've come out heavier, so hopefully that'll follow through, coming back into grass or back into the shed. The other thing that I seen was our daily weight gains are the very same as last year. Very little, basically no change in them. Anywhere from 0.7 down to 0.15. Massive, just a huge variation. You couldn't say, it's not like with the bulls or the bullocks or the heifers for finishing, they'll do 1.1 to 1.5 or 1.6. Massive variation, and all quite poor. Wouldn't call it over great daily live weight gains in the shed. There's all the Jersey boys. Are you enjoying yourself, are you? Anyways, happy enough with them, Liv?
Yeah, if you're over there, I might walk that way in.
Yeah, anyways, that's them. We'll move on to the next batch, and I'll tell you about what we're planning on doing to try and increase our daily weight gains of the cattle in the sheds, or while the yearlings, bull weanlings are in the sheds, how we're planning on getting that daily weight gain. So now we're here with our next batch, and these are on our receipt we put in last year with Liffey Mills. I think it was mixed grass seed. So they're actually well into it now. I think we'll move them tomorrow. A little bit of damage done. It's not from being wet, but I'd say it's just where they were lying the last 2 nights. So just check the drinker, see that there's water. They'll be going out there next, but the plan is that we'll be taking this up for silage and there. So as I said, eat silage ground first, get them off it, then go to the grazing ground so we can hold these up for silage. But we'll get slurry in that out. There's a big stone. What we're planning on doing to try and increase our daily live weight gains in our yearlings in the shed is we're planning on sowing red clover. So we're planning on getting 3 or 4 acres worth of seed, and we're going to sow a field of red clover mix, which is supposed to be high in protein. Oh, I left my sledge here. Anyways, which is supposed to be high in protein, which should get us better daily weight gains. To have water. And we're also toying with the idea of sowing fodder beet. Now I know fodder beet is more fat than growth, but Father Phil thinks it might be a good idea, and he's toying with the idea of growing beet again, so we may put in 3 acres of beet. But that's what we're planning to do, especially the red clover. We're planning on sowing that, baling it, and then specifically putting the bales into the diet feeder to feed our bull yearlings, all our yearlings, and see can we get some better daily weight gains. Because at the minute, the 2 areas that we're falling down on our dairy calf to beef job is our mortality rate, and I think our daily live weight gains of them in the shed. Now we were feeding them first cut, second cut silage, a little nip of maize, a bit of whole crop, what we thought we could afford to feed them. But we just want to try and get that try and get them all that they're putting on half a kilo, and want to try and get some of them, push them on a bit further, see can we get that better. But that's the boys. Happy out here now. Happy out. So now, just flying the drone down the bottoms to check on the batch of calves down there. As I was saying, these are the lightest calves we have. The vast majority of them under 200 kilos, and they're down there because last year the best daily weight gains on the older stock that were outside was on this farm. So the plan is that they should do better and hopefully catch up with the others. So as you can see, there's not a lot of grass down there, but we'll be moving them on to the next paddock tomorrow. And yeah, that's really it. That's all the bull yearlings outside. So yeah, they'll start the grazing rotations now for the summer, and hopefully now the first, as I was saying, the largest lads will be going in then probably July, August time, to try and have them definitely gone by December, and then the rest of the lads will all be going in then from then to September onwards, and have them for February next year, as we do every year. So it's just rinse and repeat. But unfortunately this year no one knows what's going to happen with all their input costs and the feed costs and everything, so it is going to be very interesting. And also, as this is the first time I say it, but we're not planning on spreading any fertilizer on our grazing ground, so it could be challenging enough during the summer to see can we keep enough grass ahead of the cattle. So we may not get doing a whole lot of second cut silage, but our plan is to cut as much first cut silage as we can, while our stock numbers outside will be at their lowest, because we'll still have the majority of the calves in the shed, to try and make the most of what we're going to do. So anyways, we're going to leave it at that for today's video. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel. Videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday. That is it from me. Good luck.